I'm telling it is a beautiful, wonderful winning Wednesday, and the game's all here. Sparkle, take it over for me for 1 second, please.
All we do is win, win, no matter what. Have you ever thought about how wealthy you really are?
Mm.
Have you thought about the wealth that is inside of you? How wealthy you are. Never, ever, ever in your life say you broke. Never say your money's struggling, because you are full of wealth. Anytime you need something, you go to God and say, God, I need it. And here it comes. Like, how wealthy can you be? Like, I was just processing that. And he said, don't just let them know that it's winning Wednesday. Let them know how wealthy they really are. They think they struggling. They think their money's not right. They think it's, you have so much, because every dime belongs to God. And if it belongs to God and you belong to God, it belongs to you too.
Well, and that just ties into what I wanted to talk about this morning about changing our narrative and changing the things that come out of our mouth. Angela and I were just talking about that earlier, right? We have things and we don't often recognize it, but what comes out of our mouth is completely not in alignment, right? How many of us say, we're broke and I don't have enough money and I don't have enough this and I don't have enough that. And it's like,
thank you,
but you do.
Please share.
But you do.
But you do.
So it's interesting you brought that up.
But you do. Like, when you have the power, the Holy Spirit lives inside of you. So what could you lack? It's no lacking. You can go to the doctor and they say one thing. You go and tell your father, you know what they just said? They just said, I have a diagnosis and I'm going to die in 5 weeks or whatever. And he was like, oh, okay. Like, and he don't get all irritated and frustrated and, oh my gosh, that's what they said about you. He's just like, okay. So which one you gonna believe? Are you gonna believe that I'm wealthy in health? I'm wealthy in ability to do all things? Because having the ability to write is a wealth. You know how that's wealthy, that you can say, I'm heavy right now. Let me go right. Let me release this off of me so it won't mess with my money. Don't mess with my wealth. Don't mess with what's inside of me. Let me release this. Let me surrender anything that comes to you to try to attack you. You release it so that it does not interfere with your wealth. That's just like writing out a check, writing out your bills. You watch how you spend so it won't mess up your flow, right?
Mm-hmm. But I think that in the reality of things, how man has progressed, or humans have progressed in life, we have stepped away from believing that everything inside of us is already inside of us, that we need to be whatever God's purpose for us is. So when you start thinking lack, again, it's not matching up. Because if you say, I believe God, I trust God, I know God has me, I know God's will for me. Even if we say to the point of to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord.
Come on.
If everything that you come out of your mouth, like, oh my God, I got this, oh my God, I got that, and you doom and gloom everything, then you're not in alignment with what you say. It's just like saying, oh, I want my flowers to grow, but you never water them. You never put them in sunshine. You never do any of those things.
You never cut off the deadness.
To start thinking. And that's why we said this year we're healing for real. Because the limiting beliefs that you have, it has to be a point in time for the renewing of your mind when you go back and say, you know what? Whether I have money in my bank account or not, I don't have to stay there. I can start doing, making wiser decisions. I can start saying my money is circulating, because it is. In the reality of life, money is going to come to you in some shape, form, or fashion if you position yourself to be, in a place to get money. Yeah. Because sometimes money just comes to you. You're not, you may say somebody, you may be talking to somebody say, you know what, let me sow a seed to you. Or somebody may say, I was just thinking about you. Let me send you $25 for lunch. Those things may happen. Or somebody may say, hey, go with me. I'm going to treat you to lunch. Those things happen and we don't think anything about it, but that's God provision. That's God bringing things to you. When somebody opens the door up to you and you go through it, the monetary compensation may not be there, but the connection you make in 5 weeks from now may position you. Somebody say, you know what, I have been following you and listening to you for 5 weeks, and I need you to come and be on this conference, and we'll pay you $3,000 to do that. Exactly. But you got to start letting your mouth and your beliefs be in alignment. So, Natasha, when we talked earlier this morning, you know, you were talking about how we're at war in ourselves. Can you tap into that a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm listening to what you're saying, and it's so true. I think that we have to redefine what abundance is and what wealth is, because I think we often look at it in the tangible sense, right? Yeah. I'm only wealthy if I have money. I'm only wealthy if I have a fancy car. I'm only wealthy if I have this type of job and making this certain amount of money. But when you have the Holy Spirit within you and you have alignment with God, you are in abundance. You are wealthy. It's unimaginable, the level of wealth that we have. But coming back to limiting beliefs, if I don't really believe, and you know, I could spend days on this topic. I've always said that what you believe to be true manifests in your footsteps, right? So based on what I truly believe is going to determine what my actions look like. And a lot of us right now will say one thing. We will say that we believe in God. We will say we trust him. We will say we have faith, but then we are walking in fear, or we're chasing the mighty dollar, or we are chasing that relationship and begging for that person to stay when we have no business staying in that relationship in the first place. I mean, the list goes on. We all can, fill in the blank. And so what I was saying with Angela this morning is that there's this younger version of self that we all need to pay attention to. Everyone tends to look at behavior and say, okay, well, that behavior is good or bad, right? We tend to want to judge the behavior. But what we don't understand is our behavior is a result. And Rev Pat talked about this in her Bible study last night. We allow our feelings to drive the way we act. And if you allow your feelings to control you, right? That's where your behaviors are not oftentimes aren't going to be, I shouldn't say oftentimes, will not be in alignment with God. You will not be in alignment with the spirit because you're letting your feelings, you become very reactive as a result of how you're feeling. Now, this kind of ties in with Sparkle and I were talking about yesterday. A lot of people are in denial about their feelings. So how can you want to change a behavior or change something in your life when you're in denial about what you're feeling and then you're being reactive to how you're feeling? And I know that might sound a little confusing to a lot of people, but I try to use the younger self as a representation of your emotional self, right? All of us are grown today and we're far removed from trauma. We're far removed from dysfunctions in our lives. And we tend to intellectualize ourselves into what we want, right? We tend to use logic. But in reality, there's an emotional side of us that isn't healed. And that emotional side is the side that gets us into trouble. That's this side of us that causes us to be highly reactive, highly impulsive, highly obsessive, and a lot of times highly manipulative, right? That emotional...
Stay there for a second, Natasha, because I don't think we see ourselves as highly manipulative. I know. Nobody wants to be in alignment with, okay, I know I'm a highly manipulative individual. But go back to that part, because people they might have been following you to everything, but I'm not a manipulative, but we are. We are.
Yeah. So manipulation is when we are trying to turn and twist something to fit what we want. Come on. It's not necessarily what we need. It's about what we want. Right. And so we all do it. And,
yes.
I think a lot of us are raised with we hear certain words and there's this negative connotation behind it. There's sort of this, if you're manipulative, you're bad. However, people teach you how to be manipulative. Now, this is going to rock everybody's world. Manipulation is something that is learned. if you are being raised in a household and one caregiver says one thing and one caregiver says another, between the two of them, because they are not in alignment, the child learns that they can go between and create a divide between the difference of opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We do that with God's word, but I'm not going to get into that. I'll leave that for Ref Pat. She can chime in on how we often will manipulate God's word to feed into what we want and not follow with what we need.
Oh, you good this morning, girl. You good this morning.
But, and again, I always say this, and I'll say it every time I open my mouth. It's not a judgment on anybody. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing what we're doing and what it is that we need to change. So why is it oftentimes, so the manipulation is the behavior. So why is it often that we manipulate? Let's go to that wonderful thing that we all try to avoid, and it's called feelings. Oftentimes we are either sad, resentful, angry, powerless, helpless, hopeless. We want what we want, and we want it now because we can't, God forbid it's not happening fast enough for us because we're constantly on the go. And based on how we're feeling, and we're not in check with our emotions drives us to manipulate people, places, things, and God's word to fit what we want.
But yesterday, I was listening to you guys, and so you said that in the midst of feeling angry, powerless, fearful, whatever it is, when somebody says, "How are you?" the first thing that comes out of our mouths are, "I'm fine," "I'm good," or "I'm okay." So,
and to me, that's a denial of your emotions, because when you give me any one of those three, it's just a surface answer, right?
Yes,
you're just
absolutely.
You haven't even stopped to think about how you're actually feeling.
Nope. Well, it's a trained thing too. It's a trained behavior. You have taught yourself when somebody asks you, just say, to keep everybody from being nosy, and I'm gonna block you so you won't ask me no questions. I'm just gonna say good. Oh, I'm fine. Oh, I'm okay. Are you really?
And they're hoping you're gonna leave them alone.
I was getting ready to say, the reality is the people who ask you 9 times out of 10 are already expecting you to say that. So they're pretty much going on to get their coffee.
They already heard.
They're expecting you to say you're good, you're fine, or you're okay. They're not even looking at it, because the reality is, as we leave out the house, just as you grab your bag or your purse or your suit briefcase or whatever, you put on that mask as well. It's right there at the door, and you grab it and put it on your face so that when you go out, you don't want anybody to know the dysfunction that's in your household, the trauma that you're dealing with, the resentment and anger that you have, the depression and the anxiety that you feel. You don't want people to see that, whether you are going to a job, whether you're going to church, whether you're going to see a friend.
But here's the thing, and I agree with you 1,000%, but here's what people need to understand. You can hide that all day long, but I think I said this in one of our broadcasts last week. Where do you think all your emotions are going?
Right.
You're walking out of your house and you're presenting a certain way. Wherever you go, there you are. I think I said that yesterday or the other day, right? I can't remember what my days are anymore. My feelings are still with me. And if my feelings are unmanaged, right? My unmanaged feelings is what leads to my behaviors. Then you're going out in the world and you might look a certain way, but how you act, how you behave, how you respond, how your response to other people is going to be based on how you feel.
Yes. And all of your feelings are sitting on your shoulder. So the more that you don't deal with it, the weightier they become.
Absolutely.
And then, like we said last week, as those feelings become heavy on you, now they manifest themselves in sickness,
medical,
and disease, and other things, right? Because Marisa said, and the truth about yourself will set you free if you want to truly be free.
Oh, that's a whole topic there. If you truly,
I know, I was going to say, get him, Natasha. That was you.
If you want truly, it's a desire. It has to be a desire. It's like somebody has showed you how to do something. And if you don't really have a desire to learn how to do it, you're not paying attention to what they show. I'm going to give you an example. Angela has showed me how to do StreamYard. Okay, she has showed me how to do it, but it didn't really like. She here every day. Okay, whatever. Okay, and hit this button and hit this button.
She said,
But because I didn't have a full interest,
you didn't invest.
I didn't invest to what she was saying because to when she was talking, it sounded like blah 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 blah. Okay, now when you need it, you don't have it because you didn't invest in what she was trying. She wasn't telling you that just for fun.
Because in the moment you're telling yourself, I don't need it. You're not thinking long term that although I may not need to know StreamYard today, there may come a day when Angela's not well, she's not here, there's something going on, and you will need to access StreamYard. Exactly. So you're not thinking later on down the road. You're just thinking, I don't need this right now. Angela's here. Yeah. So let Angela figure it out.
Right? But think about this to tie it all up in a knot. So she's listened to me when I said it, because I said, you're going to need it at some point in time because I may not be here. I wasn't here yesterday. So I said, do you need me to be in the background? She said, no, you rest. I got it. I'm good. At the end of the show was still going on. She had took you and her out, but it was still live. Pat was still looking. I think Miss Patricia was still on there. It was a black screen waiting. She didn't put on the outro. She didn't do anything. So when I logged in, she was just kicked back, on her phone. I was like, oh, can you end the broadcast? Where it says end stream, can you end it? So that's how you know again that things manifest and you believe that you're good and you believe that, okay, everything is all right. But it goes back to you didn't listen at the time. You didn't truly go through because you weren't interested at the time. And
exactly.
You said that you were good, but it actually showed itself. Just like eating bad. When somebody say, oh, I'm healthy, and you eat whatever you want to until you go to the doctor and they say your cholesterol is high or you have diabetes. Now, yes, some things are predisposed, but the average thing is we're not doing what we're supposed to. And so it shows up. You don't think it shows up until the time comes. It showed me that she didn't know because I don't even think I had an intro. I know you didn't have an outro, and I know she didn't end the stream, so I know that she didn't.
Listen, we jumped right into the show yesterday.
Exactly. But after the show, God was like, "You're gonna learn to pay attention." So you gonna learn that I don't send people to show you how to do stuff just for it was literally God was like, you are gonna learn to pay attention. Dang.
Absolutely.
Because it's a flow of everything that's supposed to happen.
I was looking at Dr. Marissa Blue. I don't want to butcher her last name. She said, far too many people are surface level. We need more people doing the introspective work. When that increases, we will see change in mindset and behaviors. And I agree with her 1,000%.
And it's something even that simple. Like, if you see that nice property and people, why do investors invest in stuff? Because they see the potential in the house. It's not how the house looks right now. They're not buying that property for now. They know if I invest and put some money into this home, in return, I can turn around and sell it and get triple of what I bought it for.
Well, I think that tied into what you said yesterday. That, when it comes to mental health, while we are recognizing the severity of it and that we need it, many people want a quick fix. So I would go to the doctors and we want to take a pill. No, it's okay.
I'm sorry. It was
You're reading the comments.
I know. I was giving you a take time.
And it was just hilarious to me. It was funny.
I know. I was gonna say, don't feed the baby.
Don't feed the bear. Just going on, Natasha.
I'm sorry.
Listen.
Feed
Again.
I'm trying to find him so I can get him off, but I can't see him. So
I was gonna say, no, don't get him off. Let him stay.
Let him stay.
Yeah.
This is an example of
you laughing, brother, because obviously when she said name Sparkle or walking around with horsehair, you named yourself Brother Bear and you had a nerve to comment. Come on, Natasha.
Don't get
No,
me
it's too
started.
early for that. It's
I
too
get
early
it.
for that.
It's
Get the topic, brother.
but
That-
let him sit here. He's gonna get something
He
that
need
he
it.
need. He might not
He need it.
understand he need it now, but when that time comes,
He'll
he'll
need
be
it
like,
in the long
Jesus,
term.
Jesus, Jesus.
What did Marisa say? I think she said, "Oh, listen, projecting out into the future and the impact long term." Yes.
The impact long term.
Mhm.
Imagine if we think about the long term of it.
So
Natasha.
let's go back a little bit to talking about when we the feelings that we have. We don't want to deal with our feelings, and I'm going to change the behavior from manipulation to judgment. People can be very judgy,
Mhm.
right? They have an
Very.
opinion about everybody else,
Mhm.
right? Because they don't want to look in the mirror.
Amen.
But their judgment comes from what they're feeling, right? And what they're feeling, I'm going to go one step back. It comes from what you believe to be true. If you're so used to judging yourself, you're going to be very quick to judge other people
Mm-hmm.
because you automatically believe that other people are going to have an opinion about you because you have an opinion about you. So you're going to pass judgment on them, right?
Wow, that's
So
good.
again, someone can say all day, I'm going to, I don't judge, or I'm going to work on not judging that person. You've got to first start looking at not judging yourself.
That's
Start
good.
seeing yourself in a healthier light. Start seeing yourself in a more positive light. So you're more inclined to see other people on a positive light. My mother used to always say that if you ain't got nothing nice to say nothing at all.
Don't say nothing at all.
Right? But every behavior is a reaction from how we're feeling. It's an unmanaged emotion, and that emotion is tied to what you believe to be true. So again, I said it earlier, what I believe to be true will manifest in my footsteps. So I can say all day that I believe in God and I have faith in God, but if I'm out here in the world cutting up, acting up, being judgmental, being critical, doing all the things, being manipulative, then I don't truly believe in the God I serve.
Yeah.
Right. But coming back to the doctor earlier that had said, everything's surface level. It's really sad in this world that so many people will recognize that they need help, but they're not willing to invest in themselves. They'll go invest in a house. They'll go invest in a car. They'll go invest in stocks, right? They'll go invest in stocks because that'll make them instant money, right? There's this instant gratification, but taking care of my mental health, that ain't instant gratification. That requires me to do some work. That requires me to look in the mirror. I've had many
and that
clients
requires you to acknowledge that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people don't want to acknowledge that there's something wrong.
Denial again.
And I think it's important for people to understand, why do we have to look at it as right or wrong? Why does it have to be good or bad?
Like you were saying, Natasha, why do we have to look at it as it's somebody's fault?
Exactly. Like it happened, right? It's not fair. It happened. But are we going to sit in that? Like you're choosing to sit in that and get comfortable in that rather than rising above it or standing out of it and saying, okay, you know what? I want to do something different. I don't know what to do differently. I don't know how to do differently, but I'm going to start looking for a mentor. I'm going to start looking for people that have taken the journey that maybe, hey, they can help me along. It's kind of like when I'm lost, right? Yeah. I ain't just going to stand in the middle of the road, just lost for the rest of my life. I want to get home. So I'm going to ask somebody, hey, can you direct me on how to get to wherever it is that I'm needing to go? It's the same thing in life. But we're so self-absorbed and self-centered and only think about ourselves. And that is on a, I can't say global, I'm going to say on a national scale, right? Again, global. I talked about leadership and it trickles all the way down. And it's like every man for themselves. Yeah. You see it every day in our lives when there's like a shortage of things and people go to the store and, young, old, everything in between is pushing everybody all the way through just to get what they want. They don't even consider the person next to them. Why? Because they're feeling something. They're probably scared. They're probably fearful, whatever. And they're being reactive. Right? They're not thinking about anybody else but themselves.
Because like you were saying, the judgment, because at the moment, self is all that matters to them. How I receive it, how I feel, it's irrelevant around people. I'm trying to defend myself. I'm trying to take care of myself. I'm trying to,
and that comes from, and
Mhm.
yeah, and that comes from limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
There's a belief that no one's going to take care of me. There's a belief that everybody's going to hurt me. There's a belief that, the world is this. We have this negative
Nobody cares.
view. Nobody cares, right? But in reality, people do. You just have to pay more attention to who you turn to for consult.
Yes.
Right? You don't just go to everybody and tell everybody. Like there are some people that will ask me how I'm doing, and they will get a surface answer. Yes. But I'm not giving a surface answer to everybody. I pick and choose. If Ref Pat asked me how I was doing, I'd be pouring out and crying out to Ref Pat when she asked that question. But somebody in passing, I'd be like, we're good.
But where does that come from? You have a trust in her.
Correct.
I trust and I believe that she desires the best for me.
Correct. I look for trust, loyalty, and integrity.
And you know that.
And she genuinely knows that I want the best for you. So therefore, if something's off, how can I help? And that's
exactly.
how, Spark and I always talk about Monica. She always, she may say, "How's your heart?"
Yes,
and so
I love that.
To a point now where I don't surface her. When she says something, I generally go ahead and say what it is that's going on at whatever level, because I know that she's not going to, she knows the surface me quicker. She'll notice it versus somebody else who may just say, "Oh, good," because you always smiling, you always this, you always that. So I'm pretty sure she's good. Like they said, somebody said yesterday, check on the strong folks in your life, because they're holding and dealing with a lot. And most people don't check it because you're so used to them doing everything that you figure like, oh, that's just who she is. That's just how she handles things. That's just how she shows up.
And oftentimes, as a cognitive distortion, we will generalize and we'll put everybody in one big bucket.
Yes.
Right? So I have difficulty trusting. I can't trust anyone. Yep. Right? And listen, I've been there before. Before my healing journey, I put everybody, I can't trust you. I can't go to anybody. Everybody's going to betray me. It was sort of this all or nothing mentality. It's either everybody's going to be good to me or no one is going to be good to me.
Yes.
Right. And that is a cognitive distortion that develops as a result of untreated trauma and unmanaged emotions. So we have to be really careful and realize that, we can't trust everyone, but there's always that one person in your corner that you can't. And I'll say this. If you're in a season where there's not someone in the flesh that you can trust, you better believe your bottom dollar God is the one that you can trust. And you can go to God every single time, and he will not disappoint and he will not fail you. And it gives you an opportunity to be able to look in the mirror and share what's going on with you and reveal your truth to him. Because I got to tell you, if I'm not being truthful, if I'm not being honest with myself, then what am I really doing? Right? What am I really doing? I'm just sort of walking around aimlessly pretending that I'm okay, but inside I'm not. And that's why our suicide rate is so high. That's why mental health is increasing, because we're just walking around almost like zombies or robots in the world.
Yeah.
And when Natashah, I was thinking about what you just said. And in reality, a lot of times when we do trust a person, we will overlook all of the good things that they do, all of the good things that they've said, all the times that they've been there for us, with that one time that they say something that we don't like, with that one time they say something that irritates us, or they're not there for us. What's the Love and Basketball? The guy said, you forgot to be there. What about all the other times when I was?
All those times.
And that's how we show up as individuals, is that you make it somebody that you trust, but the one time Reverend Pat may say something that hits a nerve for you. Now it's like,
that's that all or nothing thinking, right? That's one of those cognitive distortions that develop because of unresolved trauma. That's the thing. We have a distorted thinking pattern, and it stems from unhealed trauma. So for anybody that's listening out there and you haven't treated your trauma, you are operating from a distorted cognitive place. That means we tend to have all or nothing thinking. We tend to overgeneralize. Some of us tend to minimize, right? Some of us use emotional reasoning, and we have mental filters. A mental filter is I hear what I want to hear and I throw away the rest. And sometimes you could be throwing away some really important things that someone's saying because you only want to receive what you want to receive in that moment.
Yeah.
Right. So what you guys are describing are cognitive distortions. So again, and that cognitive distortion stems from unmanaged emotions and limiting beliefs that we are still holding on to. So again, we're walking around in the world and we're all looking pretty and we're all sounding great, but your actions don't line up. And at what point how can you go to sleep at night and be okay with that? And again, I don't say that from a place of judgment. I say that from a place of experience. When you are walking with God, when you have made a decision to turn your life over to God, I can tell you that before that, I was sleeping just fine. Because it was just me and my ego going to bed at night. Right? But when I started walking with God, I had a conscience and I felt bad knowing that here I am getting up every day and reading the word. And this is what God says. And I'm out there and I'm not in alignment with what he's saying. That I had conviction. I still have conviction today. And there are some people that will experience conviction and somehow still continue doing whatever it is that they're doing and then be upset that God isn't turning their lives around, or coming back to what Dr. Sparkle said earlier of, I'm broke and I don't have this and I don't have that and I don't have the other. Well, maybe there's a reason why we don't have those things. One of the things I'm learning in my season, and Sparkle and I talked about this yesterday, is learning to be a good steward for the things that are given to me by God. Being a good steward in marriage, being a good steward in any relationships, being a good steward with his money, being a good steward with my body and my overall health, because he gave me this body. Rev Pat prayed this morning about he gave us life today. Are we walking with gratitude? Are we taking care of ourselves, mind, body, and spirit, and stewarding what he's given us? Because I've learned in my own journey, as quickly as he gives it to me is as quickly as it can be taken away.
Absolutely.
That's so good.
But she don't want to talk because you get my nerves, Brother Bear. That's why I'm not talking. So I can stay in the spirit. Brother man, you need to analyze that one. Why are you here? I'm quiet because I'm taking in everything that Natashah has to say, because somebody out there needs to hear it. And somebody is here this morning because, I think it's Farika wanted to make sure that you said cognitive distortion.
Yeah.
Because cognitive distortion, how we see one another. And this is, this whole platform that we use, that God has allowed us to use, comes with so many people, I'm going to say, who use this platform to bully, because they don't, it wouldn't happen in real life. You're just going to walk up to somebody and say the things that you feel empowered to say when you're in your house behind your camera at your desk or wherever you're sitting. And to me, those people that do that, it's coming from a different place. It's not coming from a place of, I even believe half of the stuff I'm typing. These are the things that I otherwise would not be able to say, so I can bully this person. I can talk about this person. Monday night, we had that happen. We had someone on that was in the comments, and she got upset because we didn't respond to her comments quick enough. But we're live. We see comments coming, and we try to get to every comment that comes, but we're not gonna get to every comment. And so she said,
Reverend Pat, don't give him, don't that he.
No. I'm not even talking about him. So she got in her feelings. She commented like they're not answering what I'm saying. So I'm just gonna go. Well, something that you really needed was going to be said, but you got so far in your feelings over lack acknowledgement that you just totally threw the whole show away because you just felt like,
because you didn't get what you want when you wanted it.
you get what you
About
wanted
self.
when you wanted it. And we were all just like, he was like, well, do y'all have anything to say? You know, and he explained, I can't see everything that's going on. So I apologize. We apologize. But no, she just totally took it. I mean, it was the most extreme response that I've seen while on a live. But it's like you said, when we react, we are not taking that 10 seconds, that 30 seconds that it requires to just shift from spirit, from emotion to spirit, emotion to spirit. It's just that simple. It's not that difficult. Well, it is difficult. I hate to say that. We say that I make it sound.
It's difficult because some people don't want to look at their emotions, or they might acknowledge and say, well, I'm mad, but you got to do something about it, right? Instead of taking it out on somebody else, can you learn on how to regulate? Self-regulation, emotional regulation is an actual thing. It's not just a psychology term. A lot of people do not know how to regulate their emotions. And part of it has to do with an underdeveloped brain. And the other part of it is not having healthy coping skills. So it's difficult for me to shift to the spirit when I don't, A, recognize what I'm feeling, and B, learning to regulate that emotion so that I can shift to the spirit. And that is why healing is so important. And so if we're not wanting to heal, or we're not wanting to acknowledge the emotions and or learn on how to cope with the emotions, then again, you're just always going to be a very reactive person.
Yes.
Right.
And healing never stops. That's the beautiful thing about healing. It's never a stopping point. It's a everlasting lifelong healing journey. Nobody ever gets to the point like, oh, like you just, it's an ongoing process, because once you get healed from that little part, then here comes this other part. Like, oh, I thought we already dealt with that.
No, I was prior to my healing, I was a very reactive person, very, 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 very. And just like Natashah said, it was because of my environment where we were not allowed. You didn't. Well, no, hey, let me go sit on mom's bed and talk about what kind of day I had, or no, you didn't talk about what was going on in the house. Didn't talk about any of that, and you could not respond. If you were angry, you couldn't respond. If you were hurt, you could not respond. That's just the environment that I was raised in. And yesterday, Natashah and Sparkle hit. I was just sitting over on the other side, like, are they just like talking about me this morning? But Sparkle just addressed it. There are things that we think that we're good with until we hear somebody address it, and then you realize, no, I might not be as good in that area as I think I am. But
because you believe that I'm good, I'm fine, I'm okay.
Yeah,
I learned how to say.
We begin to believe our own BS. We begin to believe our own. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not as bad, and you are. And Natashah, go back because Farika wanted to know. You mentioned the wheel of feelings to identify.
Oh my gosh, just go to she heard that yesterday. Go to Google and just type in feelings wheel. And some of them have like little faces to kind of describe how you're feeling. But it's a great tool that I actually use because I find a lot of people, when you ask them how are they feeling, they immediately go into a monologue, or they want to describe to you or explain to you something that's going on. A feeling is one word. If you have to add other words behind it, then it's not a feeling. You're more than likely describing something that you're thinking about, probably a thought pattern, right? So the feelings wheel allows you to recognize that there's layers to your emotion. Like someone is angry, but underneath anger is someone who is frustrated, someone who has resentments, right? Underneath that resentment is somebody who is irritated, right?
Mhm.
And so it just, there's layers to it that we have to get through. It's not just I'm going to be angry and then I'm not going to be angry. It's just not that simple.
Yeah.
Right. But we are not taking time to learn ourselves. We are too busy looking at the guy next to us or the girl next to us and trying to figure out what's going on with somebody else rather than going on with what's going on with ourselves.
And
Yes,
understanding
Stephen.
our triggers, understanding why am I, like Stephen said, hurt or happy? Why does this hurt me? Why does this anger me? Why does this sadden me? You know, and start thinking, like even going back to what Reverend Pat said about the young lady who didn't get acknowledged. Thinking about why does this bother me so much?
Yeah.
Correct.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times, again, we project on everyone else. But the reality is, why does it bother you so much?
Well, there's a big word. There's a big word that people use. How you trigger
Get
me.
to the root of it, yes.
Right.
Get to the root of it.
People will always say, "You triggered me,"
Mhm.
and it's like, no, you didn't trigger me. There was something you said or done that triggered something within me that's already existing.
Right.
Right. So if I always say, people like to say, "Well, she made me mad." No, she didn't.
No,
She
she
ain't that
didn't.
powerful. She ain't got that kind of power over you. She didn't.
She shouldn't.
Exactly.
They shouldn't.
You allowed. The
Yeah.
operative word is not make. You allowed that whatever she did,
Exactly.
whatever she said, he said, or he did, you've allowed that to ruffle your feathers. You've
Yep.
allowed that
Mhm.
to set you off emotionally, and your inability to regulate your emotions causes you now to be reactive in a very unhealthy way.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that use the word, I'm triggered. Well, the entire world can trigger us.
Yes.
Welcome to life, right?
So
But it's about you looking within yourself to realize that there's an emotion there that is not addressed that needs to be addressed.
That
So when
needs-
people trigger us, to me, it's a great time for reflection. It's a great time for me to look in the mirror and be like, okay, what, like you said just now, Angelo, why is this bothering me the way that it is? Why I'm so upset? The woman that did what she did with Rev Pat's on Rev Pat's show, all she needed to do was to stop and say, okay, why is the fact that they're not responding to me quickly enough? What does that say about me? And I could almost guarantee it comes down to a limiting belief. She believes she's being dismissed. She believes she's not.
Everybody's overlooking her. Nobody
because
no
she's
attention.
dealt with that in her past, whether as a child, a young adult, or even an adult.
Yes.
Because somebody didn't listen to her and overlooked it and said, "Get somewhere and sit down because I don't want to hear that right now," and dismissed it. She decided that as a grown woman, you're not going to dismiss me. If I ask you something, I need you to address it. And that turns into aggressive behavior if you can't manage it. Because the reality is nobody owes you a comment back just because you put something onto a lie.
No, but people who are self-centered and self-absorbed are very entitled. So here you are in a room filled with people, and somehow the focal point needs to be on you.
On you. Yeah.
Like, hello, like Ref Pat talks to hundreds, if not thousands of people, right? But you want when you walk into that room that she got her eyes on you. Like that is just very self-absorbed and very self-centered.
It is. Stephen said broken children grow into broken adults. And that's the reality of life.
Facts.
I want to ask Natasha, now you said we're talking about unmanaged feelings.
Emotions.
How thrown off are you if you know, because I'm talking about me, not talking about anybody else. Between 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, those around those ages, I literally knew that I was so thrown off that I was waiting on you to make me mad. I'm being nice. It's not this at the tip of my tongue right now. I literally was waiting on you. Anybody, somebody, I could have been standing, just come on, just bring it. And I knew that any little thing, it would take any little thing for me to go from 1 to 1,000. And in my mind, I finally was at a stage in my life where I was not in my father's house. I didn't have to bite my tongue anymore. I didn't have to, dot. Now I can get out. And at that time, I really thought that anger was owed to me. I deserve to let this out. I don't care who it is. I don't care who you are. I'm serious. I don't even know how I kept a job between 18 and 20. Because if somebody upset me, honey, please, I would stand in the middle of the chair in the office and curse you out one to the other.
Well, it's because your emotions have been suppressed for so long.
Oh, yeah,
You've been told to sit. Yeah, you've been told to sit down and be quiet, and nobody wants to hear you. So when you have the opportunity, it's almost like, not almost, it's freedom for your voice. So now you're not paying attention to tone of voice. You don't care whether you hurt someone's feelings. You just don't care. It's a matter of breaking free. You would have done anything to be free, to have a voice and to be heard. So at that point in your life now, you're like, I'm going to do what I want, say what I want, like it or not. Here I come. I was no different. It's the same thing in me. I believe, I was suppressed for such a long time. I was just wanting somebody to look at me the wrong way. And I got into a lot of fights when I was younger for that same reason. My mother used to always say, you're always looking for trouble. And it was an opportunity for me to be able to lash out because of all the emotions that I've had to suppress through the years of being told girls are to be seen and not heard. Your opinion doesn't matter. When I speak to you, you don't speak back because that's disrespectful. All the things. So now I'm an adult and I step out of your house and I'm not there anymore. My mother used to always say that if you think you're grown, get your own keys. Well, I got my own keys. And when I got my own keys, I was unstoppable. Sorry, Ref Pat. I was unstoppable and I was unstoppable in a unhealthy way. Like my unstoppable today is very different than my unstoppable when I was 18.
It's different kinds of unstoppable.
Different kinds of unstoppable. Can you, Natashah, get Farika's comment, please? She says, so as you start to realize more truth about you, how do you start to heal from those things? Is there certain steps to take for certain issues to actually begin the work after you have become aware?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm always going to recommend that you get with a professional. When you're dealing with your mental health, when you're dealing with cognitive distortions and poor thinking patterns and wanting to change behaviors and learning healthy ways to deal with emotions, it's very important that you get with a professional, whether you're getting with a pastor, a counselor, a spiritual counselor, therapist, whatever that looks like, a coach, because we can't do this alone. And the reason for that
Natashah.
is,
we're not going to get with Natashah.
She went through the whole thing, and we all going to say the same thing.
Go ahead, because everybody's not. Somebody else may have the same question.
I know.
Yeah, and listen, I think Rev Pat said it yesterday in her Bible study. Maybe forgive me, my days are all running together. I'm not for everybody. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And when we talk about investment, not everybody is ready to make the financial investment needed to get the transformation that they can and will get out of my program. So I understand that. So that's why I always say, yes, would I love for you to come work with me? Sure. But at the end of the day, if it's not something that's in your budget, you don't believe that you can financially invest in yourself to that degree, you can go to a therapist. The reason we need someone who we can process what we're discovering. It's very difficult for you to discover something and process it on your own because it's a one-way street.
I love that word that you said, process.
One of the things I try to tell people,
breaking it down like that.
A lot of cultures believe that therapy is wrong. Therapy is bad and you shouldn't go to a therapist. Going to a therapist doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. Going to a therapist or speaking to someone is an opportunity to gain an alternate perspective. Right? It's the same thing like going to God for counsel. You're gaining another perspective, and with God, you will be guaranteed to be given a directive on how to improve your life. Right? Now, a lot of us, because we may not, depending upon your spiritual walk and where you are with God, you need that person in the flesh as a person that you can speak to that, again, can process with you and sort of take what you're saying and put it out on the table. I think of it like a puzzle. You're sitting and you're building a puzzle it makes more sense and it goes by faster if you have someone on the other end assisting you with that puzzle rather than you trying to figure it out all on your own. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So your mind is similar in that regard. And that's why seeking some professional help is always going to be my first go-to.
That's good. That's good. Listen, again, we talking about healing for real, and it requires you, number one, to acknowledge that there is something that exists. A lot of times we may think we're happy, like when Pat said, you're going through life and then somebody says something, you realize, oh, I thought I healed from that. And I see that I have this huge response and I wasn't prepared for it. Or I'm overwhelmed and want to cry. And I thought I had, gotten over that. Things happen. And sometimes, we have pushed things so far down, you don't even remember. The brain
is
is
so true.
powerful in how it allows you to cope with things. Some
Absolutely.
traumas are so traumatic that you block it out and somebody can ask you and you're like, oh no, that never happened to me, because your brain put it in a place to not harm you,
to protect you.
To protect
you.
And so with that being said, Stephen said the ultimate doctor, God the Father.
Can I, 1 minute?
Go ahead, Rebecca.
For a very long time, and I talked about this in Sunday school at church last week. A very long time, I kept asking God, why? Did you allow our child to be the way it was? Why did you allow the things to happen that happened as a young girl? And I finally, God just literally said, if I revealed that to you, you would never be able to handle it.
You won't. You won't.
So there are things to this day, when my sisters and I are together, they're talking about things. I have no clue what they're talking about. Absolutely no clue. And she'll look at me and she'll say, you don't remember that? Absolutely not. And what I understand, this is for me, is that whatever happened prior to that event, God allowed me to block the whole thing. So like Natasha said, for my protection. So there are some things that you might be struggling with from your childhood that because he loves you so much, God is not going to open that door, because he knows that if he opens that door, you're not going to come back out of that door.
But you still have to deal with the feelings.
That may sound crazy.
No, it's not crazy. I agree with you, but you still have the feelings and you still have to work on the feelings. And so you don't have to go forcing yourself to necessarily dig up that memory. I agree with you 100% because it's a protective measure. But just remember that, so trauma keeps score in the body. There's a great book out there that talks about, it's called The Trauma Keeps Score, right? Because your body holds it in. So although you may not have the memory recall for the event or the experience, your body is still holding on to what it experienced. So if you are emotionally struggling, even though you can't recall, you want to be able to learn on how to deal with the emotions that are coming up for you.
Right. Right. Because he's never given that memory back to me, but he healed me from the emotions attached to whatever it was, so that I'm able to not continue to live out a life where everything and everybody is a trigger. Everything that happens is a trigger. And somebody in the comments said, I think it was Stephen, start with God. When God reveals there's an area in your life that needs to be worked on, the great physician is right there. Help you to work on or to move from one thing to one area of your trauma, because the healing of my trauma of my childhood wasn't healed with one prayer. Let me say that. It was not. It was over a number of years of allowing myself to heal. That's, I think we have to give ourselves permission to heal. You have to first say, I don't want to carry this anymore. I don't want this in my spirit or in my soul anymore. That's your first step. The fact that we have so conditioned ourselves to be ashamed of getting help, because we have heard so many times, girl, you got Jesus. Girl, you know what to do. You know you got Jesus. Just give it to Jesus. Well, God, Jesus said, yeah, you can give it to me, but you can go get some professional help at the same time. So don't be caught up in a box where you allow the stigma of mental health keep you from getting that. I've learned I'm never doing that again. I'm never going to hide behind any stigma that the world puts on me getting better. Now, does that make sense? No, it doesn't. We have to make sure we are rooted.
Oh, we have to make sure we're rooted with a solid foundation and allow God to do Him. That's good, Stephen.
Put up for Rika. Very true, as you guys mentioned, the young version of you, as I'm processing it. I was like, God, I don't even remember some things about my young self. So I'm going to be spending some time asking God to reveal my younger self to me that didn't heal.
And that's good, Rika, because she's ready. And a lot of times when you're ready, that's the time that you ask God, because now He's prepared your mind to receive the things that you need to receive. Because when you truly are ready, and I think Marisa said earlier, when you're ready to reveal your true self and talk about some of the things that have happened to you so that you can heal, there's a level of maturity. It's a level of maturity. We all are in process and progress to get to that point, because it's some things that you can heal from easily. Some things that you may say, when I'm X number of years old, it's time for me to put that past me. I'm going to forgive this person for whatever happened. Other things require you to dig deeper and go hard and go further and talk to somebody more and go to God longer. It's not overnight. So you have to realize that. And go ahead, Natasha.
I was going to say, so maybe this is a conversation tomorrow, because I know we have to wrap up the show for today. But when we talk about forgiveness, there is 2 layers or 2 parts to forgiveness. A lot of people forgive on a logical level. Intellectually, we're like, yeah, I'm grown. I'm past that. I forgive them. I know this. I know that. Anytime you start a sentence with I know that you've intellectualized your response.
Yes.
Right? There's an emotional level of acceptance that we need to get to truly release ourselves and forgive other people. Forgiveness is not about another person. Forgiveness is about you releasing harbored emotions. It's you making a choice to say that experience had me feeling blank, and I am no longer willing to carry that emotion with me, and I want to release that emotion to God. And that is a process. Yes. And I have a lot of people that would say, well, yeah, I forgive. If you are still bitter, if you are still resentful, if you are still reactive, then you have not forgiven. No. You may have forgiven on a logical standpoint, but on an emotional standpoint, you have not forgiven. So you need to release that, because whatever that person has done to you, it's already been done. They're about their business. And you are still carrying that emotion and holding it like poison in your system. So the only person who's getting sick from it or dying from it is you who's holding on to the emotion.
Poison. Woo.
That right there was a mic drop moment, Natasha. Thank you. And I'm going to say, we're going to end it on that, because we're at the top of the hour. Reverend Pat is coming behind us. Ladies, before you all leave, when we end this, I need you both, everybody to stay for just a moment. But y'all make sure you tune in to Reverend Pat. She's coming. Are you, Reverend Pat? This is Wednesday. Are you coming on today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
She'll be on today. But yeah, make sure y'all go back and relook at this. Some things, you can catch a little bit more when you see it the second time. But Stephen said, if you have back pains with no symptoms, you're carrying a burden from something you don't need.
Amen.
Amen.
Ooh.
Amen.
Ooh.
Amen. Amen.
Ooh.
And that mess is heavy. That's heavy. Ooh, that's heavy. I believe God. Do you believe God? We believe God. We believe God. Have a blessed day.
Have a blessed day.
Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace.
Show yourself some grace today.
Absolutely.
Today, I want
stay
you.
On.
Okay, have a great one.